So in the last part, Midoriya, Golden and Trunks all do well enough to get into the hero course in UA High School and manage to enter Class 1A. They meet their teacher, a person who wears black clothes and wears a scarf around his neck, who really likes to sleep. However, he surprises all of them by threatening them with expulsion. Reasonably, everyone is shocked and distressed by this. However, Midoriya this time is actually pretty confident. He could handle one for all up to 3% now, and therefore thought that he could do decently well in these tests. And so this is where the canon starts to deviate greatly. Instead of Bakugo taking the ball throw, Trunks ends up taking the mantle because he got first for the UA entrance exam, and easily throws a record of 2,000 meters, shocking everyone as the ball blasts into the distance. Bakugo is pissed off by this. He knows he won't be able to top that score at all. Meanwhile, for the 50-meter dash, Midoriya turns on full cowling at 3% and rushes forward, actually getting a decent 50-meter dash time. This of course shocks and angers Bakugo once more, who had thought Midoriya was quirkless all this time and thought that Midoriya purposely concealed his quirk from him. As Bakugo leaps forward suddenly, a scarf wraps around him, causing him to be stuck in place. Bakugo tried to use his quirk to escape. However, his quirk didn't activate at all. This person who had held him back was their teacher Aizawa, or Midoriya had realized he was a pro hero in Razorhead. Let's get straight into the video. Fortunately for Bakugo, Aizawa wasn't standing down, so Bakugo was forced to let go of his grudge against Midoriya for now. So Bakugo ends up going for the ball throw next after Trunks and actually throws 750 meters instead of 705.2 meters, which was his original record in the original canon of events. This was because he had more training with his quirk due to motivation from seeing Trunks perform so well during the UA entrance exam. Meanwhile, the event where Aizawa threatens Midoriya also doesn't happen because Midoriya already has a decent control of his quirk. And this time, instead of throwing a 705.3 meters, Midoriya throws a respectable 250 meters because he doesn't want to injure himself using his quirk during a school event. So now these are the original placings for the original canon quirk aspiration test. However, a huge change will be undergone here, with Golden and Trunks coming in first and second respectively, Momo in third, Bakugo in fourth, actually overtaking Todoroki Shoto, and 6th, 10-year leader, Midoriya in 11th, and everyone just moves down one place. One thing I forgot to mention on the last part is that Mineta never gets into Class 1A due to Golden and Trunks actually taking his position. Anyways, let's move on. As usual, on his first day in UA, Midoriya actually makes pretty good friends with Uraruka and Lida, as they hit it off pretty well. Of course, this time around, Golden and Trunks are there as well, so this is a bit awkward. Anyways, let's continue. So the next main event in UA is of course the Battle Trial arc held by All Might. As usual, they will go to Ground Beta to have their test, and the first fight is obviously between Bakugo, Lida, Midoriya and Uraruka. Unfortunately for Midoriya, Bakugo had trained more with his quirk this time around, and even though Midoriya already has full cowling at 3%, Bakugo's skill just proved to be superior, as he expertly dodges Midoriya's blows and immediately catches him with a capture tape. Just like that, Midoriya was subdued and Bakugo had won. Of course, Uraruka still wasn't captured yet, but that was just a matter of time with Midoriya out of the picture. As 10-year leader distracts Uraruka, Bakugo knocks her down from behind, allowing them to win. Midoriya of course was reasonably disappointed. However, he just told himself he was gonna work even harder to catch up to Bakugo. Meanwhile, Todoroki shows off his dominance as he completely obliterates Shoji and Hagakure in just one ice. Obviously, out of everyone here, he still had the most experience. Meanwhile, Golden and Trunks actually duke it out in one of the battle trials, and All Might notices that they may even be stronger than him in terms of their raw quirk strength. However, he could tell that they both lack experience, choosing to just rush in and attack instead of thinking strategically, which was something he needed to fix. Anyways, let's move on. With the battle trial covered, we'll now go into the USJ arc. The start of the USJ arc proceeds as normal with the class meeting Space Hero 13, a prominent rescue hero. However, that class was interrupted by the League of Villains coming up from a huge purple misty portal near the center of the USJ. Two very powerful figures stood there, one with hands all around his face and one with a weird looking brain sticking out. Aizawa and 13 looked at each other, realizing that All Might not being here was a terrible consequence. Golden and Trunks, however, were excited. This was their first time fighting villains. Unfortunately for them, they were all still scattered by Kurogi's misty portal, with Golden and Trunks being split up as well. Trunks ends up finding himself replacing Minato Moru's original place in the flood zone together with Sui and Midoriya. Meanwhile, Golden finds himself in the landslide zone together with one of the strongest students in Class 1A, Todoroki Shoto. How will the events of the USJ arc change now that Golden and Trunks are here? Well, that's something you have to find out next time on What If Dragon Ball Super Met My Hero Academia.